As we prep for basketball season finale for the men, we've got some women tournament updates. Clearly a hoop state for North Carolina, as 3 of our schools decided that they were going to go ahead and win the big thing. We're going to talk about who could potentially keep things rolling for those ladies, but more importantly for the men, who is going to come out on top? Who is going to stutter step at that finish? There are so many players that could come close to being ACC Player of the Year, or could it just be anybody's? Let's talk about it on today's show.
You are Locked On ACC, your daily podcast on the Atlantic Coast Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to today's edition of Locked On ACC. I'm your host, Candace Cooper, joined by Drizzy Drake back in the building for Freestyle Friday. So happy to have Drake once again. We're talking through women's tournament. We're talking through men's season finale of the regular season, that is. And there's a lot going on in the hoops world, and so glad to have him here to recap all of these vibes. Drizzy Drake, how you feeling?
Girl, it's March. Got March Madness playing. Shout out to my boy Future.
Okay.
Basketball right there. We got ACC Tournament starting with the women's today. Also, or I think it was yesterday, actually today or Thursday. As people are listening to this. Also got men's ACC Tournament on Tuesday. One more game. I'm just stoked that March is finally here.
Yeah, we could talk about it. Sorry for your girls out of Florida State. Wake Forest said, listen, we do this tournament thing, okay? And that was certainly an exciting matchup. We'll get to that a little bit later in the show, but we want to get into the season finale, the regular season finale for the men's. It has been a long season. It has been an interesting, national landscape of how people have viewed the ACC, but to me, it's been fun. Any given night, you could catch an L. I think that we haven't had one true clear ACC Player of the Year. We haven't had one true path for a really great team. It's been fun and really a toss-up for all of these things. But overall, a good season indeed. Saturday, we've got some great games. We're going to go through this list. Drizzy Drake's going to give us his hot take, and then we'll go to final predictions as we look at the potential men's bracket. All right, so Virginia it's had a stutter stepping towards the finish kind of vibe lately, but they get to face off against Louisville, who held them pretty close last time. Louisville could be looking for that lick back. They are the number 13 team country, the Wahoos. Will they be able to beat Louisville at home on senior night?
Louisville. Besides Florida State, is there another team in this conference that has been waiting for the season to come to somewhat of a close?
Yeah, we've been asking Drizzy Drake, do we think Kenny Payne gets another year?
I mean, I am of the belief that you typically don't fire someone within their first 2 to 3 seasons.
Okay.
But if you look at the season overall, you're 4-26 with wins against Western Kentucky, Florida A&M. You have only 2 ACC wins, even though the Clemson win a few weeks ago is a very, very good win. If you keep it somewhat close with Virginia, which Virginia is a very damn good team, as you've seen, we believe them to do very well heading into postseason play. To me, this is a game where Virginia, they're probably going to be favored by 18 points. Folks, it's the last game of the year. It's one of the times you don't hold anything back. Take Louisville to cover the game, and I'll take Mary Kenny Payne to keep his job.
Love that for us.
We're going to hire instead of him, to be honest with you, also too, because it's not just the coach. Let's be real here.
Who wants the job at this point? Beyond L. Ellis, who would want the job and all the things that come with it? All right, let's talk about Georgia Tech and Boston College. Boston College feeling a little bit. Georgia Tech feeling quite as good as well. 2 teams that have had up and down seasons for sure, but still have a lot of fight in them. It'll be senior night for Boston College out in Chestnut Hill. Quentin Post and the boys, Mr. Zachary and company. I feel like Boston College is going to handle business against the Yellow Jackets.
I completely agree with that. I think it starts and ends with Quentin Post over there as well. I think Boston College, this will be a game where they'll be favored by 3 points, folks. I think you take this up to 6. I think Georgia Tech is, if you look at the advanced metrics, these teams are actually neck and neck, I think, per Bartorvik, which is the site that I use. And folks, when it is tournament time and when you're gambling for these smaller market teams, use Bartorvik. It helps you make a lot of money. Not sponsorship, but I just love the system that they use. They have them as the 156th and 159th team in the country. So basically, it's an even-Steven kind of game. Mm-hmm. But if you see Boston College favored by 3.5 points or 4 at tip-off, to me, that leads me to believe that Georgia Tech, as I see them, they had the 8-game stretch where they lost every single straight game, but they beat Louisville, beat Syracuse, beat Florida Tech and Virginia Tech. That's okay. But
Yeah.
to me, Boston College has been a more, I guess, sound and consistent, more of a consistency all years to give me Boston College to cover up to
Yeah.
at least 5.5.
And they beat some heavy hitters, which I think is very impressive considering. And then, I think Coach Grant has a lot of promise, and it's sort of the same thing where you talk about Louisville. Boston College wasn't great at the beginning, but they started turning things around. Boston College wasn't as bad as Louisville has been, but maybe if you just give a couple times, you see some spark there, and things will get better. Florida State, Virginia Tech. Speaking of teams that maybe the season is not the one. It's not the one, and that's okay. Or maybe not even NIT vibes over there for the guys in Tallahassee. But Virginia Tech certainly should have had a better season, I think, with the leadership that they have, defending ACC champions, and yet they'll be playing on senior night, just fighting for the vibes, just the vibes.
It's a pure vibes type of thing here, because also I think the question you're going to have to ask for Florida State is this potentially the last season for Coach Ham actually at FSU as the head basketball coach? I think that's going to be a legitimate question you're going to have to ask, because at FSU, Ham has basically built up a program that no one basically, I guess, came out to see very often, but now you see yourself as a new blood in this conference. You see, the success that we've had in years past up until this, I can think these past 2 seasons.
Yeah.
And now you're going to have to ask yourself, is he going to be, is he ready to basically, bring transfer portal kids in, bring a lot more in, and basically, change, flip over the roster, which he hasn't been able to have to do in quite some time, and do another overhaul with basically his coaching philosophy. And then you have a Virginia Tech team where that one stretch of, I think, 6 consecutive losses, it's an outlier to me, because if you see their games overall, they typically win, 2, win 3, then have a loss here and there. So with this Virginia Tech team, I think you're right. This is a team that should have been a lot better. This should have been like a 22 win team for the year. Actually, I was a big fan of Hunter Couture and Shampoo. Those are 2 very, very outstanding role and solid, contributors actually to a team. So to me, with Virginia Tech, they'll probably be favored by 14. I will take Virginia Tech to win this game, even though, FSU is coming off that great comeback win against Miami, last second shot. Shout out to my boy Matthew Cleveland over there, but I'm going to take Virginia Tech in this one to cover.
No doubt about it. Let's move on to Wake Forest and Syracuse, 2 teams that, of course, have had, again, up and down seasons. Probably should have gone better. Definitely some games that you want back for Wake Forest specifically, because they had the talent to probably get into that NCAA tournament. But Syracuse is senior night. It could be Boeheim's last game. And not because Boeheim wants it to be his last game, because they're like, all right, let's have an honest conversation, reassessment if we shall.
Yeah, I mean, they've lost 4 in a row to Duke, Clemson, and Pittsburgh. Those are really, really damn good teams. So I really wouldn't, be holding up a much with that. But Wake Forest, I think, has shown that with players like a Tyree Appleby and Matthew Morris and Demario Monsanto, that the losing Alonzo Williams did hurt them a lot, even when he actually did leave for eligibility, because going to the NBA draft. But overall, like you see, it's still a very solid team, but it should have been better. And I think that's kind of where you ask yourself, like how you started the show with this AC team, is like anyone can win any given night. Is it that because the teams are so very, I guess, competitive and they're so solid? Or is there a lot of teams that you just feel that there's a lot of expectations there? They left a lot to be desired over the course of the season. And to me, this is the perfect encapsulation of these 2 teams. And here it probably is Jim Boeheim's last game. So folks, take Boeheim, take the plus points, take the money line. And if you can, get an alternate line over friends or FanDuel.
A lot of people are saying that Tyree Appleby is ACC Player of the Year, because based on him having the most points and all the things. Well, who would you think?
He plays 90% of Wake's minutes, of course.
That's usually how that goes. Deductive reasoning. Of course. But if we're thinking about it, there hasn't really been just a star taking over. Be Isaiah Wong, Jarkel Joyner. You know what I'm saying? Like, who has been the guy?
I mean, the fact that we're talking about this now, there hasn't been a guy.
Exactly.
And there's not like a guy like, oh, I could pick, Paolo Banchero over here. Or last season, Alondes Williams too. Like, sorry, I love saying that kid's name. Paolo Banchero. But yeah, it's like when you have to sit there and actually like, who exactly is it? There's no clear, at least front runner or like people vying for second and third. Then yeah, maybe there really truly isn't one. So maybe you look for the one that's been the most important to their team. And quite frankly, to me, I think it's Isaiah Wong, because I think Miami in my personal opinion, is the best basketball team in the conference.
Ooh, I know that was hard for you to say, but I'm so glad you said it. Let's talk about some game action here. We know you have opportunity to bet on Saturday's matchups tomorrow. Make sure that you do that. But if you're going to do it, you got to look for our friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, because new customers get a no sweat first bet up to $1,000. It's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Don't miss a chance to get your no sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/locked on. That's FanDuel.com/locked on to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA and the official sports betting partner of Locked On. Rocking and rolling with Drizzy Drake. We're talking through Saturday's finale games for the men. We will touch on the women's tournament as it continues to roll on. Pitt and Miami, 2 top 25 teams. Pitt had a little stutter step for Notre Dame senior night. They said, all right, we're the Fighting Mike Braves. We're going to make sure that we give him out on top. We saw him in the bar cheering with people. We always said that Mike Braves definitely a guy we want to go get a beer with. It was very true, as you saw content around social media, that he is that guy. But there was enough to celebrate after beating a top 25 program in Pitt, especially with the season that Notre Dame had. Now, you're Pitt. You're going up against arguably the best team in the ACC. You need the dub, but it's senior night for Miami and Coral Gables. I don't know if you come away with it this time.
You won't. I'm sorry, Pitt. I mean, listen, when you lose a game and then you see the homie Mike Bray out there taking shots at Jameson, at the bar, that's
our guy.
Yeah, that man, that's an aggressive way to go out after the night. Because JMO, but with Miami, I mean, senior night, they've had a week to kind of like think about the loss to Florida State, where they are the first team, I think, in college basketball history to lose a game. They led a game with 25 points after the half.
Yeah,
out of like 900 plus chances. That's kind of rough. But so if for Pittsburgh, you don't want to be the next person up for that. And then also Miami has true like aspirations to not only win the conference title, but also make a super deep run in the NCAA tournament. So to me, Miami will probably be favored by 7. Miami might just honestly showcase like how good this team really actually is heading into March. They're going to and they're hot, but they're going to keep getting hot at the right time.
Yeah, listen, I think Coach Larinaga arguably should be ACC Coach of the Year. I know people are maybe making that argument in that case for Capel, but I think what consistency we have seen from a year that we thought, okay, that could have been a fluke, but Larinaga came back and said, nah, not only is it not a fluke, but we are really in the top of the conversations.
And they're better than last year.
Yeah. Nigel Pack, coming out of nowhere. Omier having a great year as a big man. I think they just have a lot of sharp shooters. And even when we were always saying if Isaiah Wong isn't it, the team runs through him, which yes, true. But as we've seen the progress of this team, we've definitely seen the development to where other guys could be on for the night and he doesn't necessarily have to be the mainstay.
Let me say with Jordan Miller. I mean, that kid's also a damn stud too. Like Jordan Miller, Isaiah Wong, Omier, Pack, and Poplar. Those are like you look overall, that team is also extremely deep and they play a lot of minutes and they're always looking fresh and they always look good.
Yeah.
Like going up and down the court, basically dissecting defenses and playing really good defense. So to me, this Miami team, like I know you say you hate to say it, but I love watching good basketball and I love betting on teams that make me money. And Miami has been that team for me so far the entire season. 1,000%. So folks, follow me and take Miami to cover this game. And they're definitely going to be winning this by 10 plus.
No doubt about it. North Carolina looking for its 20th win of the season. It is a first out if they don't get it. They're facing their arch nemesis in the Duke Blue Devils at home. This could potentially be Armando Bacot's last game as a Tar Heel. If you haven't seen Outer Banks, guys, episode 8, he's in that bad boy. He has one line, says one word, and it's money. Sorry, had to give it away for you. But all my guy knows how to do is get them checks. Now, can he get this dub? I don't know. Duke's feeling themselves after that NC State win. And I just think if there was ever a time for UNC to figure it out, play with some urgency, dominate, start to finish, let this be the game. Don't wait till the tournament where you're desperate and you have to win in order to get NCAA tournament. Let this be the game that you go ahead and secure the bag. Please, God.
I got a good feeling on Baycott for this, honestly. I mean, I really, really do. I mean, wasn't it? There was a game last game of very, very important and very influential head coach that happened between rivals. And I think one of those teams was, the heavily favored because it was his last game. What happened in that game, Candace?
North Carolina said, "Hold my beer, I got this. We're gonna put the team on our back, jersey on the name on the front, vibes."
So yeah, Armando Bacot is going to be Armando Money Bacot because he will be cashing them checks, slamming them dunks. And I think North Carolina actually will probably win this game. And quite frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if you see North Carolina actually favor this game by 2.5, 3 points. And to me, I think you're right. They have to win this game to get in the tournament.
Yeah.
And then if they don't, they'll be on the bubble watch. They might get in based off a name. And then you're going to have the questions like, oh, did you get in based off your name? But if you don't get it all, period, all the talking about Coach Hubert Davis from last season that's coming over into this season is going to be even louder heading into the offseason. And that's something you really, really don't want to have if you're UNC Tar Heels.
We haven't really seen, I think the NC State game for me was the first kind of hint, but the villainous side of the Duke Blue Devils in terms of wanting to spoil things and ruining things for somebody. How great will it be for Filipowski to kind of take it to Armando Bacot and be able to, keep them out of the tournament, or Jeremy Roach and his leadership that he talked a lot about last time they met up, how there wasn't any communication between the Tar Heels and they had the lack of accountability for each other. They weren't communicating on defense, and it just feels as if this has got to be the game where they play for this up here and not that back there. I'm not gonna get too dicey about it. I'm just saying I'm a little stressed. But
this is what we like college sports, man.
I don't feel no ways, because a lot of people be on like, oh, okay, Miss, you love me. Like, I like UNC just fine. I'm a graduate. Love all that. My day is not made or broken by a dub from these Tar Heels, because I ain't got no NIL money. Ain't nobody writing no check over here besides Locked On. So I'm gonna be fine. I'm gonna be just fine.
A wise man once told me, my boss isn't going to fire me, my fiance isn't going to leave me, and my parents will stop loving me if the FSU Seminoles lose a game. It does not dictate anything else in my life. However, the one reason why we love college sports is because there's always this one or two teams. Yeah. We see the color, we see the mascot, and then we see the dumb alumni. For Duke, it's always the Christian Laettner, Grayson Aller, and JJ Redick. For myself, it's whoever the hell is playing quarterback in Miami now, because I don't even know who is anymore, because that team is terrible. But overall, to me, it's games like this I'm very excited for, and to me, it's a UNC team that needs to win that. Not only do they have the urgency, to do that, they get to do it against their biggest rival, and I think that's going to be the deciding factor for how they show up on Saturday.
Yeah, 1,000%. Final game, senior night for Clemson. They'll face off against Notre Dame. Notre Dame clearly on a high. Crazier things have happened. I think Clemson takes care of business here. They got to get themselves prepped and ready for a strong tournament run. They're going to need to win that ACC tournament or to get into the NCAA tournament. I feel like that's their vibe. But I think the Tigers certainly can make the case for themselves. Hunter Tyson, PJ Hall, Galloway. It's going to be a great showing for the Tigers. They're a strong team. They've been a strong team. They felt didn't figure things out well towards the middle of the season. They were in the race for being the best one out here. Mm-hmm. I'm just thinking to myself, if they're going to play spoiler, at least let it be against a good team as Notre Dame. But I don't see a spoil happening here for the Tigers.
No. I mean, overall, to me, this is a game where, I do like Hunter Tyson. PJ Hall's a great player. Brevin Galloway not only is a great basketball player, but he's also has great commercials. I don't know if you saw the Nuts commercial that actually had. That kid is pretty hilarious over there. And then with Notre Dame, they got the win for, Coach Mike Bray. Now they're all hanging out, partying. It's a much-needed win. I think it was after a 7-game losing streak.
Because they know there's nothing after this. This is it for them. This is their Super Bowl. That was their Super Bowl.
That was their Super Bowl. And so I was like, you know what? Now we have to go over to Clemson. There's nothing to do in Clemson. Trust me, folks. I have been there for football games. Especially on a Saturday, everything closes at midnight. They'll probably be done before. They'll probably be done around that time. So it ain't fun. So quite frankly, it's a business trip. It's something that could have been done in an email. To me, this is a Clemson team that's going to win by 10, 11 points. So take them to cover.
There you have it. All right, that is your full look at the men. That is all of the grand scheme for the regular season finale. We'll see who comes in top. I know we talked about potential bracket opportunities, but as I mentioned, it hasn't quite finished yet. However, if it were to end today, Pitt would be the number one team, followed by Miami, then Virginia and Clemson. So they wouldn't play to the quarterfinals, and you would have to start out between Georgia Tech, Florida State, Boston College, Louisville, Virginia Tech, Notre Dame. They would play on Tuesday. They would have to face off against Wake Forest, Syracuse, Duke, North Carolina, and NC State. And from there you go and have it. If you were to pick a championship team right now, who you got?
It's Miami.
Championship game. Okay, excuse me. Yeah, Miami's going to win it all. Who are they going to play against?
I would need the bracket in front of me to see, but definitely is going to be. Let's see. I'm because I
Could
have it
be
right in front of me.
Virginia, NC State, North Carolina, or Louisville, Boston College, Virginia Tech, Notre Dame. That's who Miami would face off against.
You said Virginia, UNC, and who else?
Virginia, UNC.
Mhm.
Well, they would have to play UNC to try and get to the semifinals, but they would play Virginia, NC State,
Okay.
or Notre
Okay.
Dame.
Yeah, no, let's see. I think it's gonna be Miami. I think it's probably gonna be because I have it
Well,
right in
that
front of
would.
me.
Sorry, I'm
Yeah, man.
slow. I'm
Actually, no.
pretty.
I think
I'm pretty.
honestly, I would just go with Miami and Pitt.
They would have to face off. Yes, I said that incorrectly.
Yeah.
I'm pretty. They would have to face off against a Clemson or a Pitt team, or Syracuse, Wake Forest, Georgia Tech, or a Florida State.
And I think them being the 2 seed actually helps them. I mean, they're going to be playing, tougher opponents to playing our Virginia team and playing that overall. But to me, I think if they were able to make a championship game, they're going to go up against a Pitt team who has like a slightly not easier road per se, but they're definitely going to be going up against basically a team probably a Wake Forest, and they'll go up against a team that's honestly might not still even be there. Should they probably get kind of the luck of the draw? So to me, it's going to be Miami and Pitt, and I think Miami though as the best team in the conference, it literally to me is their talent to lose.
Miami, don't embarrass us because we put a lot of faith in y'all. We've seen it before.
For 2 seasons. For 2 seasons of basketball.
We put a lot of faith in y'all. We're not trying to do it again. All right, the women's tournament is underway at the time of our recording. Boston College and Miami are facing off, but today was full of the North Carolina Hoop State victory. Wake Forest took on Florida State, and the second largest ACC comeback in history went on a 26-0 run. You don't play with Jewel Spears and the girls. Let me tell you, they are tournament cuties, baddies, all the things. Florida State, I think Michaela and Tanaya, they're going to have a lot. Future is bright. They got a lot ahead of them. Welcome to the big leagues. Welcome to the pressure of a tournament. Here you go. They figured it out after the 65-54 loss.
I think they will. I think that Brooke Wyckoff, who's the head coach for FSU Seminoles basketball, after she replaced Sue Semrau, she's a former player. I think she understands what's needed to be done. Like you were saying before we started recording, this is a very, very young team led by a very young, probably all-star performer in Tanaya Latson. We did get back Brianna Turnell. She did come back after a 10-game absence. And this is a team that, yes, is very, very young, but it's kind of scary if this team is that young and they're this damn good. And to me, this is a team that probably you'll see as a Sweet 16 team, probably for NCAA tournament time. For me, the real test is going to be for 2023 because, like you're saying, a young team. This team, if they can get some experience in the actual NCAA tournament, and they get deep enough, that's a scary team. Actually, get some experience behind them because, like you're right, they need to grow up a little bit, and maybe we'll see that come March.
Absolutely. Syracuse and NC State. It was all things NC State, 83-58 victory. Good on the Pack. They have not lost yet in 2020 and beyond when it comes to ACC tournament. Could it be the luck of the draw? Maybe they're feeling it. They know they want to get themselves into that NCAA tournament and have a great run. So shout out to them for that big dub. North Carolina beat Clemson 68-58. North Carolina, a team that has everything in front of them. They just sometimes get in their own way. Whatever have you. It's going to be a nice and fun one as tomorrow's slate of games look very much like, hey, we are the top 4 teams for a reason. Wake Forest will face off against Louisville. NC State will play Notre Dame. And then North Carolina will face off against Duke. Third time, 3 sweeps. They already swept them once. Why not twice? Why not do it again? And then Virginia Tech will play the winner of Miami and Boston College. So there's that. I'm thinking Notre Dame's going to win the whole kit and caboodle. Louisville definitely has put themselves in the conversation. I'm not going to be upset if North Carolina does it. You feel me? Like, just the vibes. Just the vibes.
We're always here for the vibes. we know this at this point. Come on.
Yeah, 1,000%. There's just so much good basketball going on right now, I think, for the ACC. I hate that we're getting such a bad rep, but let me tell you, we've defied the odds before. We've had a rough showing from football and basketball. Let's just keep it a band. Hasn't exactly been loved, but I feel like good things are coming in 2023. Like I think there's going to be a strong run for Miami in basketball. There's going to be a strong run for Notre Dame and women's basketball. And then going into the season of football, my guy, Florida State, holding it down. Do what they do. Clemson also right behind
we're
it.
Going 12-0. I'm just gonna say it right now. That you wanted the hot take topic. We're going 12. We're going 12-0. We ain't losing. We ain't losing this fucking season. Come on now.
You think so? If y'all go 12-0, I will buy you a steak dinner. You heard it here first. If y'all go 12-0, I will buy you the steak size of your back. But I'm here for it because I really want to have a national championship conversation. Like, I can't wait.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get that soon. I mean, we got ourselves, we got Clemson, obviously there. Well, this is me being, me, but Miami can, if they actually, they made the hire as a Lance Guidry defense coordinator, is a good hire, as well as I forgot the guy's name. I think Dawson, the offensive coordinator from Houston, that'll be good. And also shout out Jason Taylor, who is now the defensive ends coach actually over there. He has a great resume coaching down here in South Florida at St. Thomas Aquinas. So we'll see with that if Super Mario can get out of his way a little bit with coaching, maybe, just maybe, because the talent, it's there.
Yeah.
I'm not sugarcoating it. The talent is there. So it's right there for the picking. But no, FSU's going 12-0. We're winning it all. We're hanging out. It's going to start there in Orlando. We'll play LSU. It'll be wonderful.
Okay. You heard it here first, guys. Drizzy Drake, where can these people find you if they want to check out all your work?
You can follow me at Tally__Drake. You can see it on the list below. You can follow my coach at FSU Knowles. That good. It says F is the S is a 5, the O is a 0 because Dave is 1,000 years old. I think he's has his AARP card. Actually, he's coming in the mail. And you can follow us at Knowles Anonymous, where we get engaged with our fans, get themes for episodes, and also get our messages for our mandatory Mailbag Monday. And as always, we're fans first, people second, and content creators third.
Love to hear it, guys. Come back on Monday. We'll recap all the things and prepare you for the ACC Men's Tournament. We'll have a women's champion to discuss. Excited for that one. For Candace Cooper and Drizzy Drake, have a great and safe weekend. Until next.